On our anniversary, I died. I died on the way to buy my wife Sophia her favorite cake. An out-of-control truck ended my ridiculous and humble life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back 3 years to the day of my wedding with Sophia. On her phone screen was a message from that so-called male best friend, Lucas. "Sophia, I will definitely win you back. Wait for me." This time, I decided to let them be. Groom, do you take this beautiful lady by your side to be your wife, to have and to hold for better or worse, in sickness and in health, to love her, care for her, respect her, accept her, and be faithful to her always, until death do you part? The priest's solemn voice echoed in my ears. I looked at Sophia, standing before me in her pristine white wedding dress. So beautiful it was almost beyond description, but my heart was utterly unmoved. Only endless absurdity and desolation. In the last life, it was at this very moment that I had trembled with excitement, my voice quivering, my eyes reddening, and with all my strength I had uttered the words, "I do." I thought that was the beginning of my happiness. What I didn't expect was that it marked the beginning of a 3-year marriage in which I was humbled down to the dust. Sophia, the eldest daughter of the Taylor family, the top household in Jing City's social circle, was showered with endless love since childhood. And I, Ethan, was just an ordinary person, orphaned and finishing college on scholarships and odd jobs. Our meeting began with an accident. I rescued her from a few thugs who were harassing her. From that day on, she began chasing me obsessively. She bought cars, provided houses, and even used connections to get my small company projects I wouldn't have dared to dream of. Everyone said I was insanely lucky to have caught the eye of a rich young lady. I could skip 30 years of struggle. At the time, I naively thought it was my sincerity that moved her. I refused all her material gifts, only hoping our love would be pure. Until we got married. On our wedding night, she turned her back to me and tossed out coldly, "We're only married by agreement. Don't touch me." I felt as if struck by lightning. It turned out that her insistence on marrying me was only to rebel against the family's arranged marriage and, moreover, to spite her childhood true love, Lucas. Lucas came from an ordinary family. The Taylor family simply looked down on him. To make him give up, Sophia chose me, someone with even worse prospects than Lucas, as a scapegoat. She told me she didn't love me at all and even looked down on me. She thought I had ruined the pure love between her and Lucas and was an opportunistic interloper. I became her husband in name only, yet I couldn't even touch her hand. There were always 2 bedrooms at home. She slept in the master bedroom. I slept in the secondary bedroom. She was icy cold toward me. All her tenderness and smiles were given to Lucas on the other end of the phone. She would run out in the middle of the night to bring him a late-night snack because of a single word from Lucas. She would take a week off and fly abroad to care for Lucas when he was ill. And me, this legitimate husband, running a fever of 40 degrees, she coldly just told her assistant to take me to the hospital. I was like a clown, guarding an empty shell of a marriage, hoping she would turn and look at me once. I worked myself to the bone, turning a small company into an industry giant within 3 years, my net worth $10 billion. I thought that if I became good enough, strong enough, I could make her fall in love with me. But I was wrong. On the day I died, it was the 3rd anniversary of our relationship. I canceled all my work in advance, decorated the home myself, and booked her favorite restaurant. I waited for her all night. She didn't come back until 3 in the morning, reeking of alcohol. She looked at me through drunken, blurred eyes, a look of happiness on her face I had never seen before. "Ethan, Lucas, he's returned to the country. He's going to take me away. Let's get a divorce." In that moment, I felt like my whole world had collapsed. 3 years of endurance, 3 years of sacrifice, 3 years of self-deception, all turned into a joke. It turned out that I was nothing more than a tool in her love story, a disposable cannon fodder to be used and discarded. She didn't even notice all the painstaking preparations I'd made. She turned and went back to her room and continued talking to her Lucas on the phone. I wandered out of the house in a daze and drove aimlessly through the streets. Passing a cake shop, I remembered that her favorite was this place's strawberry mousse. As if pushed by some unseen force, I stopped the car and went inside. Just as I was carrying the cake across the road, a blinding beam of light struck. With the screech of brakes and the crowd's gasps, I was hit and hurled through the air. In the last moments before my consciousness faded, I saw the cake box fall to the ground, the delicate strawberry mousse crushed to pieces, just like my shattered heart. Groom? Do you take her? The priest's voice pulled me back to reality again. I looked at Sophia. A flicker of impatience crossed her eyes. It seemed to be urging me to hurry and finish this process. I saw her phone light up once, hidden beneath the bouquet. No need to guess. It was a message from Lucas. In my last life, I begged humbly for her love, only to receive endless hurt and ultimately death. This time around, I'm tired. I don't want to love anymore. I just want to lie flat and properly enjoy this hard-won rebirth. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and showed the kind of happy smile everyone else saw. Then I picked up the microphone, my voice clear and loud as it echoed through the entire church. I do not. The whole place fell deathly silent. Everyone looked at me as if I were insane. Sophia's face instantly went deathly pale. She stared at me fixedly, her eyes full of disbelief. Even the priest was stunned, stammering the groom, what did you just say? I ignored them. I turned around to face the guests below, their faces full of shock, and the tailors sitting in the front row, whose expressions had already gone as black as the bottom of a pot. I lifted the microphone and began to speak slowly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, today's wedding is canceled, because I found out that Miss Taylor's heart still belongs to someone else. I don't want to be a stumbling block in someone else's love. I wish her and the one she loves a happy ending. After saying that, I set the microphone aside, tore off the corsage on my chest, and threw it to the ground. To the shock of everyone, I walked off the stage without looking back. The moment I stepped out of the church doors, sunlight poured down on me. I took a deep breath and felt an unprecedented sense of relief. Sophia, Lucas, this life, I'll leave the stage to you. I want to see how far your true love can go without me. The villainous supporting male getting in the way. As for me, I'm going to live my own life now. To hell with love. I'm starting to enjoy life. The news that I called off the wedding exploded through the elite circles of Jing City like a bomb. Everyone thought I was crazy. To refuse to become the son-in-law of the top-tier Taylor family and publicly back out at the wedding. Wasn't that asking for trouble? My phone was almost blown up. Some were gloating, some pride out of curiosity, but more were former business partners who used to flatter me, now flooding my messages to distance themselves. I ignored every one of them and shut my phone off. In my last life, I lived like a dog for Sophia, for that ridiculous marriage. This time around, I only want to live for myself. I checked into a 5-star hotel, soaked in a hot bath until I was satisfied, then ordered a table full of my favorite dishes. In my last life, to cater to Sophia's tastes, I ate Western salads with her for 3 years until my mouth had almost forgotten flavor. Now I can finally open up and eat my favorite spicy grilled fish and cheese-baked meat. After the storm passed, I lay on the soft big bed, feeling completely at ease. Coming back to life, my greatest golden trick is that my head is filled with memories of the next 3 years. I know which stock will surge, which industry will become the hot trend, which plot of land will be developed. Making money is effortless for me, but I don't want to fight so hard like I did in my previous life. I'm tired. I'm really exhausted. In this life, I just want to lie flat, be a hands-off boss, and live a salted fish life of eating, drinking, playing, and enjoying myself. I took out my phone and powered it on. As expected, countless missed calls and text messages flooded in. Sophia called the most. I blocked him immediately. Then I dialed the number of my most trusted aide from my previous life, who was also my best buddy in college, Jake. Hey, Ethan, are you okay? I heard. Jake's anxious voice came from the other end of the line. I'm fine, perfectly fine. I cut him off. Where are you? I'll come find you. Half an hour later, I met Jake at a pub. He looked at me with concern. Ethan, what on earth are you thinking? That's the Taylor family. You called off the engagement publicly. They won't let you off. I smiled and handed him a drink. Don't worry, the sky won't fall. I took a bank card out of my pocket and pushed it toward him. There's $5 million on it. All my savings. From today on, you'll be the owner of our company. Jake was stunned. Ethan, what do you mean? It means I'm handing the company over to you. I want to retire. Jake's mouth opened wide enough to fit an egg. Retire? Bro, you're only 25. You can't retire at 25? I said lazily, leaning on the sofa. I'm tired, I want a break. From now on, you run the company. I'll only provide the money and the big picture direction, leave the day-to-day operations to you. We split the profits 50-50. I told him about the few projects I remembered that would explode in the future and the stock codes of several speculative stocks. Jake was skeptical, but out of trust in me, he still agreed. Ethan, don't worry, I definitely won't let you down. Having taken care of the company's matters, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the bar's entrance. Sophia. She changed out of her wedding dress and into a simple dress, but it still couldn't hide her outstanding looks and temperament. She walked straight up to me, her eyes reddening, her voice trembling slightly. Ethan, why did you do this? I leaned back on the sofa, too lazy to even lift an eyelid. Nothing, I just figured it out. Figured it out? Sophia's voice shot up 8 notes. What do you take me for? You can marry if you want, call off the wedding if you want. Do you know that because of you, our Taylor family has become a joke in the whole Jing City social circle? Oh, I responded lightly. What does this have to do with me? When I died in my last life, your Taylor family never treated me as one of your own. When the news of my death reached back, the Taylor family's first action was to shut it down, then rush to arrange an engagement between Sophia and Lucas, afraid it would affect the Taylor family's reputation and stock price. My ashes were secretly retrieved by Jake. Sophia trembled with anger at my implacable attitude. What on earth do you want? Money? I can give you money. $10 million? $50 million? As long as you come back with me and explain to the media that today was all just a misunderstanding. I smiled. Sophia, do you think the whole world should revolve around you? That everything can be solved with money? I told you, I'm not interested in your money. I'm even less interested in you. This is the last time I'll say it. We're done. From now on, you walk your sunny road, and I'll cross my rickety bridge. We have nothing to do with each other. After saying that, I stood up to leave. Sophia grabbed my arm, her eyes filling with tears. Ethan, you can't do this to me. You said you loved me. You said you'd always be good to me. I shook off her hand, my gaze icy. That was all in the past. Right now, I just want you to stay away from me. I didn't look at her again. I walked straight out of the bar. Her suppressed sobs came from behind me, but I didn't show the slightest emotion. Crocodile tears aren't worthy of sympathy. Back at the hotel, just after I lay down, my phone rang again. It's an unfamiliar number. I answered. Is this Ethan? A cold female voice came from the other end of the line. This is he. I am Chloe. Chloe? I was momentarily stunned, then remembered the name. My nominal former fiancé. Before I was married into the Taylor family, the Taylors, so I wouldn't look so meager, had arranged an identity for me, the heir of a declining minor family. They also arranged a marriage for me, the match being the eldest daughter of another second-rate family, the Bennett family, Chloe. Of course, this marriage is just a pretense. Once Sophia and I get married, this engagement will automatically be nullified. Chloe is also a legendary figure in the social circles of Jing City, known as an icy CEO and a business genius. At a young age, she took over a family business on the brink of bankruptcy and, by sheer force of will, turned it into an industry leader. It said she has an extreme aversion to men, especially pretty boys like me who rose to power on women's backs. In our previous life, we only met once when our engagement was called off. From start to finish, she never once looked me in the eye. She just signed coldly and then turned and walked away. I didn't expect that in this life she would actually take the initiative to call me. Something wrong? I asked. Tomorrow at 10 in the morning, in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, we'll annul the engagement. Her voice was devoid of any emotion. Okay. After hanging up, I smiled with a touch of amusement. Chloe, interesting. The next morning, I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time. A black Bentley was parked not far away. The window rolled down, revealing Chloe's frost-cold face. She was wearing a sharp professional suit today, her long hair pinned up to reveal a slender, swan-like neck, and she exuded an aura that kept strangers at bay. Get in. She was concise. I opened the car door and got in. The interior of the car was spacious, filled with a faint, cool fragrance. Chloe stared straight ahead, as if the person beside her were a wisp of air. I heard about what happened yesterday, she said suddenly. You're very bold. Her tone gave nothing away as to whether it was praise or criticism. I smiled. You flatter me. Sophia isn't a simple woman, she said. I know. You can't beat her, and you can't beat the Taylor family. So what of it? I retorted. Chloe finally turned her head to glance at me, a flash of surprise crossing those cool, distant eyes. She seemed not to have expected that I, the so-called kept man rumored outside, would be so composed. What are your plans from here? She asked. Living for fun, enjoying life. A barely noticeable frown passed over Chloe's brows. Not planning a comeback. Not interested. I leaned back in the chair and said lazily, making money is too tiring. It's more comfortable to lie flat. Chloe fell silent. The car drove all the way to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The procedure to dissolve the engagement was simple. It took no more than 10 minutes in total. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, Chloe glanced at me. Do you need me to give you a ride? No, it's fine. I'll take a taxi. Take care of yourself. She tossed out 4 words and turned toward her car. Watching her retreating figure, I rubbed my chin. This woman is even more interesting than the rumors. Not only a business genius, but also a hidden, kind-hearted person. In my previous life, after I died, the company was pushed to the brink of bankruptcy by the Taylor family. It was she who secretly stepped in and helped Jake keep the company. She also anonymously funded many orphanages and homeless animal shelters. But none of this was known to outsiders. They only knew her as a cold, ruthless iceberg of a female CEO. Just then my phone rang. It was Jake calling. Ethan, something's happened. His voice was very panicked. What's wrong? The Taylor family. The Taylor family has started moving. Several of our major clients have suddenly unilaterally terminated contracts. The bank is calling to demand loan repayment, and the company's cash flow is about to collapse. I frowned. The Taylor family's move was faster than I had anticipated. It seemed yesterday's broken engagement had completely enraged them. Don't panic, I said in a low voice. Follow what I told you yesterday. Sell off those stocks, then immediately buy the codes I gave you. As for the clients and the bank, stall them for now. But Ethan, those stocks are rising right now. It's such a pity to sell them now. Trust me, sell them immediately. My tone left no room for doubt. I knew those stocks were just a false boom. They would certainly crash within 3 days. The ones I had him buy were the real potential stocks. After hanging up, I took a cab back to the hotel. For the next few days, I completely lived like a couch potato. I slept until waking naturally every day, then it was gym and good food. I hired a personal trainer and began systematically restoring the 8-pack abs and mermaid line I had built in my previous life. I even specially hired a head chef to make me different cuisines every day, sampling the classic foreign dishes one by one. In my spare time, I also started studying winemaking. Foreign distilled spirits, fruit wines, Alesh. Anything that piqued my interest, I tried my hand at. As for the company matters, I handed everything over to Jake and became a hands-off manager. During that time, Sophia came to see me several more times. Once she even found the hotel where I was staying. She begged me for forgiveness through tears, saying she knew she was wrong, saying that she actually loved me. I just watched her performance coldly. A woman who doesn't even dare face her own heart. What right does she have to talk about love? I called the hotel security and had her escorted out. She never showed up again after that. I suppose she finally faced reality and gave up. A week later, Jake called me, his voice betraying uncontrollable excitement. Ethan, you are a god. The stocks we sold plunged to their daily limits as soon as the market opened today, and the ones you told us to buy all hit their upper limits. In just 1 week, we made a full $500 million. Calm down. I lay in the jacuzzi, sipping my home-brewed malt beer, and said lazily, "This is only the beginning." "Ethan, where are you now?" "I'll come find you. We have to celebrate properly." "No need. Celebrate on your own. I'm tired. I need a rest." After hanging up, I blissfully closed my eyes. With such a capable subordinate, lying back and making money felt absolutely great. Just as I was enjoying my salted fish life, someone unexpected reappeared in my world. That day, I was tasting delicacies in a newly opened private restaurant. The head chef of this restaurant was said to have been the last disciple of a star-rated hotel chef, mastering classic French dishes to perfection. I was eating with great relish when a girl in a pink dress, with a sweet face, came over. "Excuse me, is this Mr. Johnson?" Her voice was soft and sweet, very pleasant. I looked up and took her in. Very pretty, the kind of girl next door type who instantly makes you feel warm toward her. "I am." Her eyes lit up, and she sat down in the seat opposite me. "Mr. Johnson, my name is Luna. I'm your fan." "A fan?" I was a little surprised. Although I'm quite wealthy now, I've always kept a low profile. How could I have fans? Luna seemed to notice my confusion and, a little embarrassed, stuck out her tongue. "Actually, I'm a food blogger. A few days ago, I saw a review you shared online about classic French dishes. It was so professional. Even better than me, a professional blogger. So, I just wanted to get to know you." I remembered. A few days ago, I was in the mood and did post on a food forum, giving my thoughts on several classic French restaurants. I didn't expect to be singled out by a food blogger. "Did you come to see me about something?" I asked. Mr. Johnson, may I invite you to be a guest on our show?" Luna looked at me expectantly. No interest. I refused outright. "I just want to lie flat. I don't want to go on any show." "Please, Mr. Johnson." Luna became anxious. "Our show is very relaxed. We just go around eating and drinking and give some commentary. And our sponsors are very generous. The appearance fee is very high." She made a gesture at me. $80,000 for one season. Luna shook her head and leaned in mysteriously. "It's $8 million. I raised an eyebrow. $8 million for one season. Now that's quite an investment. But now I don't value money that much anymore. Sorry, I really have no interest." Disappointment immediately spread across Luna's face. She bit her lip as if engaged in some inner struggle. After a long while, she finally mustered the courage and looked up at me. "Mr. Johnson, then may I take you as my master? I want to learn how to cook from you." "Learn to cook?" I looked into her clear, pleading eyes, and for some inexplicable reason, I nodded. Fine. Perhaps lying around all the time was too boring. Finding something to do wouldn't be bad. Luna immediately beamed with joy and was about to ceremonially become my disciple on the spot. I stopped her. "No need for those formalities," I said. "From now on, I'll teach you one dish a week. Whether you learn it or not depends on your own luck." "Thank you, teacher," Luna called sweetly. That single teacher made me feel a little strange inside. From that day on, a little tale named Luna was added to my lazy life. She was very smart and talented. The dishes I taught her, she always understood at a glance, and could even apply the lessons by analogy. She was like a warm little sun, bringing a touch of light to my quiet life. She would chirpily share the amusing things in her life with me, hand me water and wipe my sweat when I was working out, and look at me with starry eyes, freely giving her admiration and praise. Once, after I finished bench pressing, I was drenched in sweat. She came over with a towel and, as naturally as if it were the most ordinary thing, wiped the sweat from my chest and abdomen. When her soft fingertips inadvertently brushed across my abs, I clearly felt my body tense up in an instant. A long-forgotten heat rose from my lower abdomen. I grabbed her hand, my voice a little hoarse. "Don't move." Luna's face flushed in a flash, and like a frightened little rabbit, she pulled her hand back. Looking at her shy, adorable expression, I couldn't help but laugh. Perhaps finding a little cutie like this to date wouldn't be a bad choice. Just as my relationship with Luna was gradually warming, an uninvited guest shattered that calm. Lucas, Sophia's so-called true love. He somehow found out where I lived and waited right at the entrance of the gym where I work out. "So you're Ethan?" He sized me up from head to toe, his eyes full of scrutiny and hostility. I didn't even bother to lift an eyelid and walked straight past him. "Stop!" Lucas blocked me with one hand. "I warn you, stay away from Sophia. She's not someone like you can covet." I finally looked him square in the eye. He wasn't bad-looking, just wore a face full of bitter grievances, as if the whole world owed him $8 million. "First, she came to find me, not the other way around," I said coldly. "Second, I have no interest whatsoever in your Sophia. If you really have the ability, then look after her. Don't let her come bother me again." Having said that, I push him away and prepare to leave. "Stand still," Lucas snapped, humiliated and furious, swinging a fist at my face. I dodged to the side, grabbed his wrist with my other hand, and twisted hard. "Ah!" Lucas let out a terrible scream and felt his knees on the ground. I looked down at him from above, my gaze cold. "Don't provoke me. Otherwise, bear the consequences." I released my grip and turned to leave. She hadn't gone far when I saw Luna standing not far away with a worried look on her face. She was still holding the sports drink she had bought for me. When she saw me, she hurried over. "Teacher, are you okay?" "I'm Euphina." I shook my head. She glanced at Lucas, still kneeling on the ground and wailing, then looked at me and asked softly, "Who was that person?" "An unimportant person." I took her hand and led her into the club. I didn't notice that around the corner, not far away, in a red Ferrari, Sophia was staring intently at our joined hands, her fingernails digging deeply into her palm. Since the last time I gave him a lesson, Lucas has kept quiet for a while. Sophia hasn't come to bother me again. My life returned to peace. Every day, it's either fitness and gourmet food, teaching Luna to cook, or occasionally advising Jake on the direction of his company's development. Under my brilliant stratagems, the company's market value soared, increasing tenfold in just 1 month and successfully joining the ranks of Beijing's new elites. Jake completely worshipped me, treating me like a god. He offered several times to throw me a celebration banquet, but I refused each time. I only wanted to quietly be my salted fish self. I didn't want to return to the spotlight. However, trouble always likes to come calling. That day I was at home, studying the optimal temperature for brewing fruit wine, when Jake called in a panic. "Ethan, bad news. Bennett Group has suddenly launched a hostile takeover against us." "Bennett Group? Chloe?" I was stunned for a moment. Why would she do this? Although our two companies are in the same field, we've always kept to ourselves, and the difference in scale has always been significant. With the size of Bennett Group, swallowing us would be a dimensionality reduction attack. "What's going on?" I asked in a low voice. "I don't know either." Jake was near tears. "They suddenly announced this morning that they're going to buy our company at a 30% premium. They've driven our stock up through several daily limit ups already." "Ethan, what should we do?" I frowned. Chloe's way of doing things has always been steady and ruthless, but she would never act with this kind of groundless impulse. She must have a reason for doing this. "Don't panic yet." I soothed Jake. "If she wants to buy, then let her buy. Sell the shares you hold in batches. Slowly offload them. Remember, sell them at high prices. Push the price through the roof." "Huh? Ethan, are we really going to sell the company to her? This is what we worked so hard to build." Jake said unwillingly. "You can't catch the wolf without giving up the child." I snorted coldly. I want to see what trick Chloe, is trying to play. I hung up the phone and stared out the window, lost in thought. Chloe's move really did take me by surprise. But at the same time, it sparked my competitive streak. "You want to play? All right, then I'll play along with you." In the following days, the grand commercial battle in Jing City officially began. Bennett Group and my Ethan and Jake Tech launched an intense struggle for equity. Bennett Group, flush with cash, surged forward triumphantly, frantically scooping up shares. I had Jake use the shares he held to continuously drive up the stock price, dangling it in front of Bennett Group. For a time, Ethan and Jake Tech stock was driven up to an unprecedented height. The financial media across Jing City were all reporting on this business shocker of a snake swallowing an elephant. Everyone believed that Ethan and Jake Tech being absorbed was only a matter of time. Jake was frantic every day like an ant on a hot pan, calling me countless times. Ethan, we can't hold on much longer. At this rate, they'll buy up all our shares. Don't worry, the timing isn't right yet. I would always reply to him lightly. Finally, when Bennett Group's stake reached 49%, I told Jake to stand down. Another 2% and Bennett Group would achieve absolute control. The whole market held its breath, waiting for Ethan and Jake Tech to be completely sentenced to death. Bennett Group headquarters. Chloe stared at the stock price on the screen, which had already soared to an astronomical level, frowning. Her assistant stood to one side, cautiously asking, "Ms. Bennett, should we keep buying?" Chloe said nothing, simply staring intently at the computer. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Ethan was just too calm, unnaturally calm, as if everything were under his control. Just then, her phone rang. It's an unfamiliar number. She picked up. "Ms. Bennett, having fun." A lazy male voice came from the other end of the line. "It's Ethan." Chloe's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "Nothing much." I smiled. "Just wanted to remind Ms. Bennett that the game should be over. I still hold 51% of the shares. What do you think your 49% can stir up?" Chloe's face went instantly deathly pale. She had planned everything, but she never expected that Ethan never intended to fight her from the start. He was only using her to drive the stock price to its highest point. And then, "What do you intend to do?" Chloe's voice trembled slightly. "It's simple," I said. "Tomorrow I'll announce that Ethan and Jake Tech will enter a strategic partnership with Taylor Group to jointly develop new energy projects. Once this news gets out, what do you think will happen to those stocks you bought at high prices?" Chloe's body wavered. She almost couldn't stay standing. She knew she had lost, soundly defeated. Once this news is confirmed, the stock price of Ethan and Jake Tech will inevitably surge again due to the positive development. And if she doesn't want to be completely trapped, she can only sell all the shares she holds before the announcement, regardless of the cost. When the panic-driven stampede of investors flees, the stock price will be instantly driven back to its original level, or even lower. The hundreds of billions of dollars she invested over the past few weeks will be completely lost. "Ethan, you're ruthless." There was a trace of helplessness in Chloe's voice. "Right back at you." After hanging up, I poured myself a glass of newly distilled foreign liquor and drank it in one go. The spicy liquid raked down my throat, bringing a thoroughly exhilarating sensation. "Chloe, do you think you're the hunter?" But little did you know, you had long been my prey. This round I won. However, before I could enjoy it for long, another call came in. It was Luna. Her voice was trembling with sobs. "Teacher, hurry. Ms. Taylor. Ms. Taylor is in trouble." When I arrived at the hospital, Sophia was being treated in the emergency room. Luna was crouched in the corner of the corridor, crying her eyes out. "What's going on?" I asked as I walked over. I went to interview a restaurant today and happened to run into Ms. Taylor there. Luna sobvith. She seemed to have drunk a lot, and later she just suddenly collapsed on the floor. Who was she with? She was alone. I frowned. Drinking alone to the point of a gastric bleed? What is this woman up to now, causing trouble again? Just then, the emergency room door opened. A doctor walked out. "Who is the patient's family?" "I am," I answered instinctively. The doctor glanced at me and said, "The patient has gastric bleeding caused by acute alcohol poisoning. Fortunately, she was brought in on time and is no longer in life-threatening condition. However, she still needs to be hospitalized for a few days of observation." I nodded and said thank you. Luna supported me and asked softly, "Teacher, should we go in to see her?" "No need." I shook my head. "Since she's fine, let's go." "But there's nothing to be sorry about." I grabbed her and prepared to leave. I no longer had an ounce of sympathy for Sophia. Whether she lived or died was none of my business. We had just reached the elevator when a weak voice came from behind us. Ethan. I turned around and saw Sophia in a hospital gown, pale, leaning against the wall and staring at me. Are you leaving again? Her voice held a pleading note. Do you really not want to see me at all? I didn't say anything. I know I was wrong. Tears slid from her eyes. Ethan, I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I shouldn't have kept thinking about Lucas. I didn't come to see you that day to beg you to get back together. I just wanted to apologize. My relationship with Lucas is completely over. He said he couldn't stand my spoiled temper, and he's already found a new girlfriend. She said this, laughing at herself, but her tears flowed even harder. Am I ridiculous? For a man who never loved me, I hurt the person who loved me the most. Ethan, can we go back to the past? She looked at me with hopeful eyes that gazed like an abandoned puppy. If it had been in my previous life, I might have softened. But now I only felt irony. Sophia. I looked at her, saying each word clearly. There's no going back. From the moment I gave up on you, we could never go back. So your so-called true love abandoned you, and now you want to come crawling back to me as a backup? Sorry, I'm not a recycling bin. My words were like a knife, plunging cruelly into her heart. Her face went instantly ashen, and her body swayed. Teacher, Luna tugged at my sleeve a little piteously. I ignored it. Mercy to the enemy is cruelty to oneself. This truth is one I bought with a life. Take care and recover. I tossed out the last line, grabbed Luna, and walked into the elevator without looking back. The elevator doors slowly closed, cutting off Sophia's eyes full of despair. Back home, Luna remained sullen the whole time. Teacher, were you too cruel to Miss Taylor just now? She asked softly. I glanced at her. Do you think I'm cruel? Luna lowered her head. I just think she looks so pitiful. I smiled and ruffled her hair. Silly girl, what you see is only the surface. Some people are not worth sympathizing with. I didn't explain the grudge between Sophia and me to her. I don't want her to know about those sordid past events. I only want her to remain forever like she is now, innocent and happy. Are you hungry? Teacher will make your favorite vanilla roasted ribs. I changed the subject. Luna's eyes lit up instantly. The gloom from a moment ago swept away. Seeing her so happy, my mood brightened as well. However, I hadn't expected Sophia's dramatics were far from over. A few days later, a sensational scandal suddenly broke online. Hashtag the insider story of the heir of Jing City's broken engagement, suspected to have married his new love. The original fiancé got drunk late at night and was hospitalized. Hashtag. This topic instantly shot to the top of the trending list. The news, with pictures and text, recounted the moving story of my broken engagement to Sophia, how he quickly hooked up with his new love Luna, causing Sophia to be heartbroken, binge drink late at night, and ultimately suffer a gastric hemorrhage and be hospitalized. The pictured images are of Luna and me holding hands in the hospital, and of Sophia lying on the bed, looking pitifully pale. In an instant, I became the scoundrel of the century condemned across the entire internet. Luna was labeled the scheming homewrecker, the calculated mistress. Her Weibo was flooded with countless insults and attacks. Ethan, something's happened. Jake's call came again. Our stock price has started plummeting. So many partners are calling to terminate cooperation. They say our company's image is damaged. I stare at the news on my phone, my gaze growing colder. Sophia, you really are hopeless. You won't cry until you see the coffin. You think you can force me to bend with public opinion? You're way too naive. I picked up my phone and dialed number. Hey, it's me. Help me look up all the projects Taylor Group has been discussing recently, and any dirt on their company. Remember, I want the blackest stuff, the kind that will keep them down forever. After hanging up, I looked out the window and sneered. Sophia, you brought this on yourself. Since you want to play, I'll play with you to the end. Sophia's media offensive was fierce. Overnight, I went from a rags-to-riches inspirational role model to a heartless man everyone wanted to attack. Luna was also greatly affected. Her food show was suspended, Her advertising endorsements were withdrawn, and her Weibo account was muted due to too many reports. She shut herself up at home and saw no one. When I went to see her, she was sitting on the sofa, hugging her knees, her eyes swollen and red like walnuts. When she saw me, she forced out a smile more hideous than crying. "Teacher, you're here. Sorry, I dragged you into this." I walked over and sat beside her. Luna shook her head, and tears fell again. "It's none of your fault. It's my own fault. Do you trust me?" I asked, looking into her eyes. Luna nodded without hesitation. "Ido, no matter what others say, I believe you." A warmth filled my heart as I gently drew her into my arms. "Don't worry, this will be over soon." After comforting Luna, I returned home. The private detective I hired was very efficient and soon sent a thick file to my email. It contains detailed records of all of Taylor Group's illegal activities over the past decade. Tax evasion, bribery, unfair competition, and even several deaths. Staring at these shocking documents, I sneered repeatedly. The Taylor family, dazzling on the surface, are cut from the same cloth behind the scenes. I anonymously sent several of the most crucial pieces of evidence to a few influential media outlets, as well as to the tax authorities and the Supervisory Commission. After finishing all of that, I poured myself a glass of wine and quietly waited for the storm to arrive. The next day, the entire capital city was shaken. Hashtag Taylor Group suspected of massive tax evasion. President Sophia's father taken in for investigation. Hashtag several senior executives of Taylor Group investigated, exposing an earth-shattering scandal. Hashtag Taylor Group's stock plummets, facing delisting. A series of explosive headlines, like bombs, shattered the Taylor family to pieces. Taylor Group's stock plunged dramatically, leaving countless investors completely wiped out. The once bustling Taylor household is now deserted. Everyone avoids them like the plague. Sophia called me countless times, and I didn't pick up a single one. Later, she came straight to where I was living. She knelt before me, crying and begging me to let the Taylor family go. "Ethan, I beg you, please spare my father, spare our family. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have smeared you online. I shouldn't have treated you like that. I've deleted all the posts. I'll clarify things with the media. I'll do anything." I looked down at her from above, my gaze without a trace of warmth. "Now you know you were wrong? Too late. When you used public opinion to attack me back then, why didn't you think this day would come? When you and your family looked down on me back then, treated me like a dog, why didn't you think this day would come? Sophia, all of this is what you brought on yourselves." I shrugged off her hand and shut the door. From outside came her desperate cries, but I remained completely unmoved. I'm not a saint. If someone offends me an inch, I'll give him a yard. This is my code of conduct. The Taylor family's affairs caused an uproar in the capital. Meanwhile, I began my own counterattack. I had Jake hold a press conference. At the conference, I revealed the prenuptial agreement between Sophia and me, as well as all the chat logs and call recordings between her and Lucas. The truth was laid bare for everyone. It turned out that I was the one who had been deceived and hurt. It turned out that Sophia was the one playing both sides and toying with people's feelings. Public opinion instantly flipped. Those netizens who had been shouting at me the loudest had all come to apologize under my Weibo posts. As for Sophia and Lucas, they became the new targets of online abuse. Luna's injustice was also finally cleared. Her show resumed airing, and the followers she had lost before all came back. The farce had finally come to an end. After dealing with these matters, I felt a bit exhausted. I said to Jake, "The company's affairs will be entirely entrusted to you from now on. I'm really going to retire." Jake didn't try to persuade me this time. He knew that after going through so much, I was truly tired. "Ethan, go enjoy yourself. The company has me. It won't collapse." I smiled and patted his shoulder. From then on, I completely disappeared from the business world and became a legend. In the circles, a legend about Ethan the Great circulated. The legend says he built his fortune from nothing, becoming worth tens of billions of dollars in just 3 years. The legend says he planned with masterful strategy and, with a snap of his fingers, destroyed century-old aristocratic families. Legend has it that he retired at the height of his fame, choosing to withdraw from the spotlight. But no one knew that the legendary Ethan was currently in Willowbrook, teaching a girl named Luna how to make a caramel apple roll. Life in Willowbrook was peaceful and pleasant. I rented an old house with a yard, tending flowers, fishing, studying cuisine, and brewing wine every day. Luna also moved over and lived next door to me. She moved her own food show here as well. Every day, she would carry a camera, recording our routine of cooking together and tasting delicious food together. Her show style changed from her previous restaurant hunting format to the current countryside food vlog. Unexpectedly, this slow-paced, cozy daily life became even more popular than before. Her follower count surpassed 30 million, making her undeniably a top food influencer. As for me, because I often appeared in her videos, even if only as a silhouette or a pair of hands, netizens affectionately nicknamed me the Divine Teacher. Everyone was guessing who exactly this Divine Teacher was, the person who could create heavenly dishes and dote on a top influencer so lavishly. They all look forward to the day they can see my true colors. But they're destined to be disappointed. I just want to live my little life quietly and not be bothered by anyone anymore. The relationship between Luna and me also gradually fermented in this kind, everyday warmth. We had no grand declarations of love, no vows etched in stone. Everything unfolded naturally. That night, we were in the yard watching the stars. I reached out to take her hand, only to find my fingertips trembling slightly. Luna noticed. She didn't speak. She simply took my hand and tucked it into her warm scarf. Then she stood on tiptoe and lightly kissed the corner of my mouth. "Teacher, I like you." In that moment, I felt as if all the stars in the night sky had fallen into my eyes. I lowered my head and kissed her soft lips. From that day on, we were officially together. Our relationship was no different from anyone else's. We went to the market together, cooked together, and curled up on the couch watching movies. She would curl up in my arms like a little cat, rubbing my abs. I would also, when she was asleep, secretly kiss her forehead. Plain, yet very happy. This kind of happiness was what I begged for, but couldn't obtain in my previous life. One day, we were live streaming in the yard, making roasted crispy chicken. Suddenly, someone started spamming the chat. "Isn't that Chloe, the CEO of Bennett Group?" No way. It really is her. What's she doing here? Could it be that the real identity of the Divine Teacher is Ms. Bennett's mysterious boyfriend? I turned and saw Chloe standing quietly at the gate, watching us. She was still in that sharp professional outfit, somewhat out of place with the town's leisurely atmosphere. "Why are you here?" I asked. "I came to give you your money back," Chloe said, handing me a bank card. "When you schemed against me back then, you made me lose $30 billion. Here's $30 billion. I'm giving it back to you." I smiled. "I schemed against you because you were the first to maliciously acquire from me. We're even. I can't take this money." Chloe stubbornly shoved the card into my hand. "I'm Chloe. I don't owe anyone favors." I looked at her and suddenly found it somewhat funny. This woman really is adorably stubborn. "All right." I took the card. "Then I'll consider this money your investment in my new project." "A new project?" Chloe was momentarily taken aback. "Yes." I pointed at the vats fermenting in the yard. "I'm going to build the country's largest private winery here, dedicated to producing top-tier foreign distilled spirits, fruit wines, and malt beers." Chloe looked at those plain-looking wine jars, then at me, her eyes full of doubt. "Just because of these jars?" "Of course not." I smiled. "I have the technique, the recipe, and now your investment. This project will surely make money without loss." Chloe fell silent. After a while, she asked, "Do you need my help?" "Of course," I said. "I'm missing a professional CEO." Chloe's eyes brightened for a moment, but quickly dimmed again. "The Bennett Group can't do without me." "Then let it go." I looked at her and said word by word, "Chloe, you've already given so much to the Bennett family. It's time you live for yourself once." Chloe's body jolted, staring at me in disbelief. I didn't say anything more and turned back to finish tending to my roast crispy chicken. I knew my words had already planted a seed in her heart. As for when this seed will sprout, that depends on her. After that day, Chloe settled in the town of Velo. She never brought up going back to Jing City again, nor did she mention work. She behaved like an ordinary traveler, wandering the town each day, reading and drinking tea. Occasionally, she would also come into my yard to watch Luna and me cook. She didn't say much, always sitting quietly to the side. But we all knew her heart was slowly beginning to change. A month later, Chloe came to find me. "I've decided," she said. "I've quit my job. From now on, I'll be the CEO of your winery." A light, relieved smile I had never seen on her face appeared. I smiled. "Welcome aboard." From then on, my brigade of slackers gained another fierce general. With Chloe, this business prodigy, my winery project progressed unusually smoothly. Site selection, building the factory, hiring workers, publicity, she arranged everything in perfect order. I completely became a hands-off boss, only responsible each day for supplying the core technology, then taking Luna to travel and enjoy the scenery. Our days were like those of immortals. Occasionally, I would also think of the events of my previous life. I thought of Sophia, thought of Lucas, thought of those pasts too painful to recall. But I was already able to face them very calmly. Those people, those things are already in the past. What I have now is what's most worth cherishing. "Teacher, what are you thinking about?" Luna's voice pulled me back to reality. She hugged me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. "Nothing." I turned around and kissed her forehead. "I was thinking, when should we get married?" Luna's face flushed in an instant. Who would marry you?" Though she said that, the smile in her eyes couldn't be hidden no matter what. I smiled and held her close to my chest. "The sun is just right, the breeze gentle. For the rest of my life, having you is enough."